Hey guys, what's happening? How are we all doing today? We're here today to look at a brand new tank that's been introduced into the World of Tanks console, the British Bulldog, a tier 6 heavy tank, based heavily off what is the Churchill 7 with the upgraded turret. You can have a look at how the tank actually plays, and I will be putting some gameplays up a bit later on, but you can also have a look at what it is that kind of makes this tank special, or what makes a tank in general. One of the things we'll be looking at in particular is how well it can play, because this has preferential matchmaking, which takes up to tier 7. Most of the tanks that I play that have preferential matchmaking, if we take the T95E2 or even the Mutant for example, do really well in tier 7 games. Because it's a tier 6 tank and it doesn't move very fast, it will have a lot of trouble in tier 7. So I wanted specifically to find out how well it will play in those games, and also how well you can actually play the tank overall to maximize your silver, your damage, anything like that if you're aiming towards marks of excellence. I've got this set up with toolbox, gun rammer and vents, along with 2 repair kits and a healing kit. We're going to have a look to start with what the rounds are. So you've got standard AP and APCR. Penetration values, very good, admittedly. Goes all the way up to 181 you can get. I don't think I've had the opportunity of being able to see if that works. Some tier 6 OIs certainly are difficult to pen from the front. APCR is recommended for those. But overall, when you are in tier 7 games, APCR is advisable. I would carry some if you do have. Only got 20 myself because I don't really find myself in games whereby I've used up all the APCR when necessary, because there are only a few tanks that you'll have issues with. When you come up against some tier 7s like the T29 and the Tiger as well, I would still use it just on the base of RNG, but it's not necessarily needed to. So now, let's have a look at the armor. Very standard again if you played the Churchill, so you pretty much have a very similar view of this. Not ideal, again for like your tier 7s, but does bounce tier 6s, and being top tier, you will definitely find yourself being in a game where you can bounce a lot of stuff and deal a lot of damage. The reload I've got this to is 3.3 seconds, that's including all the equipment as well as I believe it's a fully trained crew, so I'm going towards one of the camo perks on there, so it is definitely a fully trained crew. So this is what I've managed to get it to. I haven't added on chocolate or anything like that, because the rate of fire is actually good as it is. It's not really something I'd need to do. And finally, let's have a look at how it is. Very well nice, very tastefully done compared to others, i.e. the Tiger 131. A slight bits of camo net over the top is a very nice green, if I'm honest. You can't add your own camo to this, but you can add in inscriptions and things. But you've already got many Bulldog Churchills all over the tank, on the front, on the sides there. And you can put your year mark as well just on the back. It's a bit out of the way though, so you can't really see it very much. But overall, it does actually look really quite nice. You do see a couple of them in game. So without further ado, let's have a look at some of the games I played today, and hopefully I'll be able to give you an idea of whether it is worth getting. While we're talking through the games as they're being played as well, I'll let you know all the details about the tank. So here we are, we're playing on Ghost Town. We're top tier in this game as well, so it makes it ideal for this tank. The ways I've found of playing this, if you want to actually talk in English, is it does very well top tier. If you have the opportunity to do so and you have a small map like this, you need to take advantage of it. Large maps like Third Preble Ridge, an example of another game I played on, wasn't so ideal, especially when you're not top tier. Yes, you'll only come up against tier 7s, but you come up against a larger gun caliber that they have. Their armor is also better, so they can cause a fair few issues. So whilst the game is actually going on, what I'm going to be talking about is some of the details in regard to the tank. So yes, this is a premium matchmaking tank. We'll only play up to tier 7. It will earn you an extra 45% on your silver, and an extra 30% on your XP bonus. You have 960 health points to play around with before you get killed, and you have a tasty 350 horsepower engine with a top speed of 20 kilometers an hour, unless you're going downhill, in which case you will be going maybe 21 or 22. So you might be overtaking a T95, if you ever fail platooned and manage to get yourself in one, but you're not going to be there anytime quick. One of the things I would say, if you are in a tier 7 game, because the tank is so slow, you're very much inclined to find yourself behind everyone when the firing starts happening. So you might be able to get a decent set of actual shots off. The rounds of 3.3 seconds in my case, where with all the equipment, means you can get a lot of shots down range. You just have to make sure that whatever you're aiming at, you can pen. The tank itself, 152mm armor, 95 and 51. That's your hull armor for the front, side and rear. Your turret is 152, 95, 95. So the front is relatively well armoured, but does have a bit of an issue because of the penetration of the standard round. Maybe averaging about 145, but can go up to 181. people in these tanks can penetrate the turret if they need to. Whilst they may not aim at the lower front plate because of the angling of the tank, it may still bounce. I would say try and stay out of direct fire of people who are likely to fire APCR at you or likely to have a good chance of penetrating you. Maybe their actual standard pen might be 160, 170. You just want to try and avoid that. The actual traverse of the turret is relatively good, 30 degrees a second. So you have an opportunity of being able to shoot someone who might be coming around the side of you. I would still use the actual repair kits because you will need the tracks to increase that, because there are tanks that can move faster, your Firefly, T67, etc. You just want to make sure that you're not going to get flanked on every occasion. Here's one of the... I look at it and I still wonder, especially with the way the nerfs and buffs have gone. It has a view range of 370 meters. That's absolutely amazing, considering the tank it is. Now, the way this game has gone, I haven't needed to actually physically use all 370 meters of it, but you can see the dots on the interface at the bottom of the UI. Very, very good. Now, this is a prime example of a tank which you do need to use premium against if you want to make sure you're going to go through. It's such a trolley tank that you will bounce even possible penetrating shots, so you want to make sure that you're going to be aiming it right. The aim time itself, I believe, is 0.40, or the accuracy, I do apologise, the accuracy is 0.40, so it can have trolley occasions. You'll find like 1 in every 2 shots doesn't go where you aim. Another one in 3 Approval Ridge is a really good example of this, but the aim time of being 1.9 seconds, coupled with that rate of fire, means you can get a lot of shots down range. If you end up coming across people who are unarmoured, you're going to do really well against it. Using that 75mm, 15 rounds a minute, slightly increased with any equipment you've got, you can start doing really well without even trying. The game itself, a lot of our team did really well. So what I'll do now is I'll move on to 3 Approval Ridge and show you what it's like when it's not top tier. And last but not least, we have 3 Approval Ridge, the game I was on about beforehand. This is a game where I'm not top tier, and we're going to be starting off with what I was on about before. 1 shot pens, the next shot goes over. Bit of a queryable aspect, so I aim again. I pen, and the very next shot, it goes over. This seems to be quite a common occurrence with this tank, that I don't seem to get every shot on target, even though I aim in the same one. Again, shot bounced, shot missed. So you do have to be wary of the fact that the accuracy will not always be with you, as force would go. At the moment, the little, I think it's the Sherman, is actually going along and trying to take shots into him, so I'm just trying to get what I can. Fortunately, I got a shot into the very lower front plate, or just above. The standard penetration of that was very fortunate. I was kind of surprised by that, but I'm not trying to go too far forward. Our team isn't doing particularly well in surviving, so I've had to take more of a backward roll, I should say. From the very start of the game, by the time I got to where I did, a lot of the team had already pushed forward. Now, I wanted to see specifically, could I be in a position whereby I can support people doing what I'm doing now, or could I be in a position where I can actually take people out on a regular basis? Turns out that you do need support with the actual tank, but you also need to be aware of what's going on around you. You don't want to be caught in a position like I am now, out in the open, buggered a bit when you come across a T29 that's going to be in front of you firing standard ammunition, but from 105. The other problem that I have at the moment, because I'm on my own here, I'm going to try and push forward, but I can't do it too fast. The tank just doesn't move. The people on the hill haven't really moved from their spots. I believe they stayed where they were for the entire game itself. The Tiger did eventually come forward, but it wasn't ideal that they both sat up there being top tier. Here comes the T29, gets a very unlucky shot on me. I see if I can track him or hit his tracks, but I don't, so I'm just going to back up. This tank is a favoured tank to hit by artillery, it turns out. Just on the basis of being slow moving, I can't really think of anything else. Can't say it was really helped that I knocked down loads of trees as well. Not something you should do if you're avoiding artillery. But either way, the Tiger 131 I know is going to get killed eventually by iTiger Driver thanks to his health. So I thought, well, I'll try and bring the T29 over and see what happens. There is a bit of a fault with the... maybe to do with the physics, I don't know. My idea was that I was going to try and hit him in the weak spots. I wanted to try and bring him down. I didn't presume that my armor would be able to hold up against the 105. Maybe it could do, maybe it wouldn't. That's one of the things I wanted to try and see. Unfortunately, the way the game goes, I do use a lot of premium rounds in this, so you can't really see the standard penetration. That was a bit of a trolley accuracy, but then I bounced a shot as well, so I'll take the RNG roll on that one. Forcing him to come down after me is what I primarily wanted him to do. I wasn't too keen on actually being rammed by him, but there you go, that's what he wants to do. Fortunately, he tracked me in the event of doing that, and I noticed that when I put my track into the lower part of him, it lifted him up, and because he wanted to turn his turret up, it looked like he was going for the tiger behind me. That was very happy by me. I'll just sit here and fire premium into the upper front plate of the tank, although I do bounce a shot, so I back up a bit to get another one. Does eventually take him out, but you can see how the rate of fire, coupled with an actual teammate helping you out, will assist you no end. If you can get the penetrating shots that you need, and you can see that I don't use all the premium rounds, it will make this tank very useful. The only problem is that because the Tiger 131 is a lot faster than what I am, I can't now support him. So you are better suited to sitting back if you are on larger maps and going with the group. Try not to find yourself in a position where you can easily be picked off. Don't forget, the artillery is very much going to be going for you, and you can come across some quite hefty tank destroyers who will 100% go through your armour and wreck you for a lot of your HP pool. Centre Meal is one of them I'm on about. Coming up, the last tank that we end up coming across invariably is another British Bulldog. Full health because he hasn't been able to move very far from his base, and much of his team has actually done all the work for him. I did contemplate going back towards the base until he was detected. Now I thought, well, I'll go towards him and see how it handles. I wanted to see if I'm able to work out whereabouts I can physically hit him, and also because I'd already done 13 damaging hits, I then thought I'm just going to try and go for damage. You can see the distance between the Tiger and the British Bulldog, and you can see that he's actually getting penetrating shots on him. I believe he was firing standard as well, so it does go through those tanks. Tigers, it does have a little bit of an easier task than what you'll find against T29s and the OIs as well, just on the way the arm is shaped. If you can hit people in weak spots, you can start doing them in very easily. Fortunately, because he had artillery backup, he was able to get a couple of good shots. Turned on me, so the shot auto ricocheted. I couldn't see exactly where they were being shot into, but it looks to be my turret, which is that spot where I'm aiming at now. So I start using a bit of the cover on the ground. Whether he was auto-aiming or whether he was trying something else, I don't know, because he kept hitting the ground, but kept hitting the gun mantlet, using the premium, getting that damage. It is a difficult tank to pen without the right ammunition. You can find yourself bouncing off things that you didn't think you would bounce off, but invariably do. So be wary if you are going to be engaging one that you know where you're going to be hitting it. That rate of fire will kill you. Overall, my impressions of the tank, not too shabby. Do like premium matchmaking tanks. I've always liked them. They are indicative of being premium matchmaking, so you find yourself saying, well, why is it? It's because if it was in a tier 8 game, you'd be absolutely screwed. But it's a decent tank to play. If you are top tier, it's a lot of fun. Being in the tier 7s, not so much in my opinion, but then again, it's always the case when you're in a tank which is a lot lower tier than the others around you, especially when you consider the Centre Meal, the J Panther, the M12 artillery, yay. But the other tier 7s as well, they will invariably do a lot better than what you will because of not just your speed but your penetration and ammo. But for those games that you find yourself in tier 6, you will definitely enjoy it. You will bounce shots. Your rate of fire will kill a lot of people and take a lot of people off guard. So for the time being, I'd get out and start playing it if you do have one, because you'll enjoy it for the time being until people learn where to aim at it. Then you'll start seeing it a bit less. But it's a nice break from playing like the Boilermaker as well as another tier 6. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, I shall see you all later, and if I see you on the battlefield, then I'll try and murder you with a 3.3 second reload.